Good morning, and good morning. Sorry I'm a little late, but for some reason, StreamYard would not let me in. So I don't know. I had to do it 3 times before it finally recognized that it says, "Oh, you're backstage. Only the host can let you in." I said, "I am the host." So I had to go all the way back out. I had to restart the computer, get a new code, log on code to come back in. I'm here. Good morning. Good morning. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. It is. Oh my little pen is twisted. Okay. But anyway, good morning. Hope you had a good couple of days. I did. Very busy. Been to just trying to take care of business. Been trying to take care of business, and I went twice to. Well, actually, 3 times this week. I went to the Citywide Revival, and it was so good. It was so good. I enjoyed it every single night. And then I come back and try to get myself together for the next day. So, I apologize for my tardiness, of which obviously I was 5 minutes late. I try to be on time. But today our word is palpable, palpable. And a lot of times I think we don't realize that, we have a sense of feeling in the atmosphere of what may be right, what may be wrong, what may hit us in the gut, but not be something that we really are able to discuss. But we should. um, and I'm thinking that this was a good word with the election coming. I don't care who you vote for; it's your business. It's private. Um, my prayer is that everybody will vote come next Tuesday, or already has voted. If you had a state where you're located in, you could vote early. I already voted, and so I had some ideas. I said, well, regardless of how you are, next week is going to let you know how you feel, one way or another. You know, at some point, somebody is not going to be content, happy, pleased, and maybe some people won't even be consolable. But the palpable thing is that there's feeling in us as to what we personally want and desire. And so I tell people to look at what is palpable in you. That's it. Stay close to your own vest. Don't worry about what everybody else did or didn't do. As they say, none of your business. It isn't. So I found 2 poems here that really talk and speak to being palpable. And the first poem says, poetry is what happens when your mind stops working and for a moment all you do is feel. Palpable is a feeling. Okay. It's not in your palate, it's not anything you taste, it's something that you're going to feel. And that was written by Atticus, Atticus, found on the internet. But I thought it was poignant because even though it's only, 3 little uh, separated lines, it really speaks to the fact that that's who we are. We are more feeling than we're not. We may never not all of us are comfortable talking about how we feel. We're more comfortable about what we feel others may be feeling. You know what I'm talking about. Good morning, Miss Joan. How are you doing? As they say, sorry for my tardy. But I couldn't get in. It kept kicking me back out out of the system this morning, but I finally made it in. And I was telling whoever was here before that it was making me think that act like I might have been, a guest on my own little production here. And I'm thinking, well, no, I got to go all the way back out again because I'm not on behind stage. I am the hostess. So we got it done. So anyway, our word is palpable. So I have another little 3-line thing. It says, and this one doesn't have an author. It just says, due to personal reasons, This writer has stopped overthinking. That means when we stop overthinking, we're probably more at the feeling level. We're no longer, it's no longer thinking it out anymore for others or thinking it out for ourselves. We're actually feeling it inside. We get it. It's almost something that it's innate. What we have sometimes is an innate thing going on. And we like, wow, you know, I know I should say something, but I'm feeling this thing. I'm feeling this sadness. I'm feeling this hurt. I'm feeling this frustration. I'm feeling this anxiety. I'm feeling this chaos. We have to speak on what it is to ourselves, what we might be feeling, and that is palpable that we're talking about. So when we move on in the word itself, it says, and let me ask you, are you stuck on your palpableness this morning? As I said, I was able to speak on the fact that my computer was making me angry. But anyway, I'm done with that. So palpable is a feeling or atmosphere. Sometimes the atmosphere can get us. Hey, happy Friday to you, Erica. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. You all were singing again last night. It sounded so good. But welcome. Today our word is palpable. It says, and palpable is of a feeling or atmosphere so intense as to seem almost tangible. Sometimes we can feel what's going on, even if we can't speak on it. We can feel it. It's inside us. It may be something that gets in our stomach. It may get in our head. It may get in our throat. We just feel it. It might be sometimes we can't even swallow because of something that's occurred. So there we are. So when we talk about palpable, it means perceptional, it means perceivable, noticeable, discernible, detectable, observable. Because sometimes we can see something and it will put us in a place where we feel it. Tangible, recognizable, unmistakable. Sometimes we can say we didn't see what we see, but guess what? We saw it. Okay, then it says observational, tangible, recognizable, indisputable. Like if something's going on and people claim they didn't see it, they saw it. Okay, they saw it. They don't want to speak on it, but they saw it. It says something that is planned, plain in sight, open, apparent, and overt. Those are just some of the synonyms that I found for palpable. So when we move on in our word, my first P is for perceivable, meaning it is a noticeable thing. It's noticed, easily seen or noticed, clear or apparent. It's discernible, detectable, distinguishable, observational, or observable. A lot of times I think in our situations, depending on who we're with or what we're supposed to be doing, we may see other things that may undo in our heads what we're starting to feel, and we get it to the point we say, wait a minute now, I don't think I need to be a part of this, or I need to make another decision as to how this came about. But I'm feeling this thing. I'm feeling that something's not right. Passion. That's right. Passion is one of those words that you could certainly say that it is palpable. You're feeling it. You feel your passion. Like maybe the love of your life, or you're doing something that is so grand, you feel it. That would be your passion. And that would be palpable because you're sensing that what's going on. Or you maybe you feel it in your heart, you feel it in your stomach. Once again, your throat. I think the picture that I put up there had all these different, ways where it showed what areas could be affected by this thing called being palpable. You're just feeling it. So when we move on in our word, it says when something is palpable, it's apparent. It says clearly visible or understood. It's obvious. Like a lot of times people say they didn't see what they are seeing. I didn't see it. I didn't see that. Yes, you did. You may not want to speak on it. You may not want to own up to it, but it happened. It happened. You know, it says it is obvious, clearly visible or understood. Obvious, evident, clear. It manifests. It's visible. You know, I never have claimed to be the best person to see. So sometimes I will have to ask somebody, did I see that? Did that really? Yes. But, you know, my birth defect just says I'm only going to see so much, you know. A parent also says something is noticeable, detectable. It says it's observable, crystal clear, you know. How many of us have seen the same thing? Everybody saw the same thing go down, even though we might be sitting right next to each other, but our stories might be totally different. It's possible because sometimes we can only see what we allow ourselves to see, you know. So it may be apparent that some things went down, but we don't know everything, or we can't buy into everything. We said that wasn't that, you know, we give ourselves excuses. So when something is apparent, it says it's also noticeable, detectable, crystal clear, blatant, and self-evident. You know, what I like about some of the words that I choose is that they're interchangeable, because what we're doing is we're spreading your vocabulary to say, well, it wasn't just noticed or noticeable, it was also recognizable. I've seen it before, or I recognize it to be what it said it was supposed to be. So there you go. Apparent also says it's blatant and it's self-evident. It could be self-evident where the point is that you see it, somebody else claims they didn't see it, but your eyes didn't deny you. You saw it. You saw it. My L of palpable, which is PALPABLE, is learned, you know, of a person having much more, having knowledge acquired by study. Sometimes we see things and we may have to go and research it to figure out more about it. We saw it, but we don't know all the things that might be included in true understanding. So we may become learned in that area. We may become well learned, scholarly, well read, cultivated, cultured, clever, because sometimes we figure out when you want to study something, you may become very clever with it. And I think a lot of people who end up being passionate about certain things, be it poetry or music, or, you know, even computers or whatever, there has to be some palpableness to it, meaning that you're feeling this thing, you're feeling it, you understand it from the inside. It's become internal to you. It's become internal. So then we also talk about when someone has learned, they look at being academic, bookish. Like I love books, so I will look at books all the time. My eyes bothered me this morning. Studious, wise, and cerebral, meaning it's in your head. Lively. Thank you, Joan. Lively. How many of us are lively when it comes to figuring out new stuff? I am. You know, I probably sometimes don't get enough because something is bothering me enough that I need to do some research on it to figure it out. When we move on with the word of palpable, my next P is perceptible. Perceptible. And it says, especially in a slight movement of a change of state, meaning when you perceive something, sometimes you can tell when it's changed from what it was. That's why when we watch things on TV and, you know, they keep showing the same thing. Maybe you saw the original telecast or something, and by the time, say, some segment of it is shown, they've cut out the portion that really gave a better meaning. You know, they do that. You know, people realize that the perception that they want to leave is the portion that either they don't want you to see or they do. So you have to figure out, well, who's behind the scenes, who's making those decisions. Your eyes can be your validation of what you saw, what you heard, and then of course the palpableness of it is how you felt, what was there. Pacific, that's right, Pacific. When we look at our lives, we're always going to be seeing things that are there, and we have to make a decision as to whether or not we have use for them. If there's no use, we may not tie into it. We may not buy into it. But if there's use, then we're almost, to me, obligated to figure out more about it, especially if we're going to speak on it later or be a part of it as a future connection. We need to know more about it. As they say, let it make sense to us. If it doesn't make sense, then maybe that's when we must bow out. So when something has really taken on the idea of being perceptible, that means we're looking at it being noticeable, discernible, detectable, distinguishable, significant. When I've really bought into something, it has to have made a point to me. It has to be significant and tangible, because sometimes things are so real that you feel them so real that you've ultimately they feel like you could touch it, tangible. You can actually feel this thing so much that you're ready to get going. Ready to get going. My A of palpable, my second A of palpable is appreciable. Appreciable. And that means able to be perceived by a sense or by your mind. You appreciate it, you see it, It says it's distinguishable, noticeable. You feel it again. Once again, it's there. It's tangible, it's detectable, it's sensible. It's unmistakable. Sometimes people tell you that you didn't see something and you did. I remember when I was little, this is no lie. Amenable. Yes, amenable. It is. We get it. We get things sometimes that others don't get, or they get it and they don't want to discuss it, so they act like they didn't get it. Hey, Debbie. Tardy I am. Hey, Tardy. Glad you're in the space. Today our word is palpable. Good to see you in the space, though. Is everything all right down there? Because I know you had a little bit of that hurricane issues that were going on. Is everything all right? Put it in the thread. Let us know, because we've been missing you. We always know that you got something to say, and it's usually funny too. But welcome back. So our word is palpable, and palpable. So far, we've gone to it being perceivable, apparent, learned, perceptible, and now we're on appreciable. We know sometimes that's the way it is. It's distinguishable. We understand it, meaning that we notice it, we see it, it is detectable. We have some sensibility to it. It's significant. It says it's unmistakable. When things happen, sometimes things are unmistakably there in the middle of your eyes. And then if it's something that's horrific or terrific, you're going to feel it. You feel it. Sometimes you may feel it in your head, in your heart, in your stomach. You feel it. And it says it's also observational, observable, meaning you've seen it. It was for you. Sometimes things are seen by everybody. As I said, everybody sees the same thing, but what you perceive of it is yours. Somebody else may say they didn't even see what you saw. It is what it is. My B of palpable is blatant. Blatant. Aim. I like that, Debbie. Aim. Sometimes aim will do just that. Our aim may be off, meaning and sometimes you have to ask what was not only perceived, but what was the intent of something that was done. And I think sometimes we've seen where things have been done to generate a certain feeling that they want you to have, be it sadness, be it, kindness, whatever it is that's trying to be tapped into. And sometimes we go right there. We're right there with it. We don't know how to do it any other way. We feel it. Bold. Ooh, that's a good word. Being bold. Aim and bold. So bold for my blatant says when something is blatant, it's done openly and unshamedly, or completely lacking in subtlety, very obviously, very obvious. You know, good thing my phone off. It's been ringing off the hook. I don't know what anybody wants, but I know it's the time for everybody to call. I'm gonna act like I don't see it. I don't feel it either. So anyway, when something is blatant, it's flagrant, it's blaring, it says, oh, a bully. Yes. Breathtaking. Yes. Sometimes haven't you seen things that are breathtaking? I have. And it's like, wow, like a big tree or a high. I remember when I went to, Spain and looking up the Spanish steps, I looked like I might have been an ant at the bottom of the Spanish steps. And I was like, wow, just seeing things, that are big and tall, the Colosseum, to me, travel has always been a wow factor for me. Even in the States, not just in other countries, but even in the States, I've always just been wowed by, like I remember trying to look to the top of the Empire State Building. Come on now. You can only really see the top if you're actually in an airplane, which I was at one time. I saw it from that point going into the city, or so from some aerial view that someone took with a camera. That's it. you know. But I was standing near the building, and of course I kept looking up and up and up, and everybody kept saying, "Put your head up, you can't see the top of that building," and I couldn't. The building. First of all, the buildings are too close to even see that, but there I was trying to do my thing, but blatant and obvious. It was bold. I thought the building should have been discussed, and everybody said, yeah, just quit trying to do it by you looking and falling over. And of course, the day we were there, it was like crowded. We were crowded in the area. But when we move on in our word, he said the biggest plantation in Lehman, oh, Costa Rica. Wow. Yes. I bet that must have been something to see. I just, I just love looking at things that, it defies imagination. I always have. So I love the things that are blatantly there and give me that wow factor. So I agree with you, Joan, that I've had that wow factor. I even love it when I ride through New York State and I ride on the New York State Thruway, and you see all of these there were mountains, but they're mountains of rock that they just carved all the way through. If you've ever ridden through the state of New York on the Thruway going down, I would say between Albany into New York City, it is something to see, because it looks like there's just no way that we're going to go around that bend. And of course you go around the bend and you watch all the rock just fold back and up and around, and the beauty of it against the sky. It was just always beautiful. I remember that as a child, of course. And then when I went home to bury my brother 2 years ago, we drove down from Albany into the city to visit my brother, who was in a medical facility there. And I got back into it again. I said, wow, I remember this as a kid. It was just always I mean, I could just sit and look like this out the window as we're riding down the interstate, just to see how beautiful it was. So when I get back to my word now of palpable, we talk about my L, which is my last L, is logical. Let's face it, some things are logical to us, characterized by the capableness of it being clear and sound reasoning. Now, sometimes things are clear to us and the reasoning is not always sound. It's clear that we saw it, but can we make out what it means to us? And sometimes we can't, you know. But it says logical means that it's reasoning, it's thinking, we're putting rationalness to it. We may be analytical, meaning, well, maybe it happened, but how, like we may get analytical. How did it happen? What really went on? It says it may be intelligence, wiseness. We may become wise after we've studied more about what it is that we saw. Sensible and judicious. The interesting thing is that I remember when I was really little, my sister and I, and we shared a bed when we were growing up, and my sister and I saw this. Our bedroom was off the kitchen, and my sister and I were scared out of our wits because we knew we saw a woman in the kitchen. Now, my mother and father were in their bedroom, okay, and my brothers were in their bedroom, but we were off the kitchen. And I remember our door being open, and we saw like this flash in the kitchen, and this woman looked like she was like on air, floating towards us. And I said, "Shirley, you see that?" She said, "Yes." And so anyway, we were scared out of our wits. And of course, we woke up my mother and father, and they were saying, "Y'all kids just need to take your tails." Now, I told you my mother cuss. So, tails back to sleep, because I don't know what you seeing. Ain't nothing up in here, blah, blah, blah. But the figure came into our room, and it disappeared on the dresser to the side of us. And both of us started screaming and crying. My mother was like, "If y'all two don't settle down, we're going to beat you." But they didn't beat us. My mother didn't beat us. She was just trying to explain that what we saw wasn't right, you know. But as far as we were concerned, our logic said we saw it. It was blatant to us. It was palatable to us. We felt it, it was visible. It was tangible. We almost thought we could feel it. We could feel it in our stomach, but we had fear. It raised fear in us. So was it logical? The fact that both of us had it was weird. I never seen her again. I never seen that figure again, but it was scary. It was definitely scary. So when we think of logical, we want it to be, do we have sound reasoning? Sometimes we may not, or is our thinking clear? Is it rational? To young kids, it may be that we thought we saw something. And I thought the weirdness of it as I got older was that we both saw it together. So there you go. It says it was their intelligence put to it. Maybe not. We were little kids. Wise, sensible, no. All of those other words, no. We just felt we saw what we saw, and we spoke on it, but it wasn't right. Now, my last letter, yay, in palpable is elucidate. I think sometimes when we've seen stuff, and that's one of my favorite words, is to explain, to make plain or understandable. But then I think about it. Sometimes we can't always explain what it is that we are feeling over what it is that we saw, or what it is that we are seeing. Sometimes we can't even explain it, but we feel it. It's like, man, this is just so weird. Effectual. Yes, effectual. And effectual is like, what is the effect that it puts on us? What happens? And sometimes we realize we are affected by what it is that we see. And so in order to try to even explain that exit, I knew you was going to come up with something crazy. Yes, exit. Stage left, right? Oh my goodness, I could see it right now. And we tried to run when we saw that thing in the kitchen, but there was no place to go. We were at the back of the house. My mom and them were at the front of the house. So, where were we going? Okay. Out the back door. And we lived in New York, and New York had those flats. So we were on the second flat, but even the second flat was like a good probably 30 feet from, because everything was high, just like they're doing now. A lot of cities that have lost space, land to really place houses, they've going up. And and you keep buying up, and what happens is that you have what they call zero lot line. You have no space outside the house other than a little look. In some other houses now don't even have a driveway, so you're parking on the street again. That's New York for me. No. I want my car off the street. I don't want it to be that I can hear my neighbors. I don't want the closeness. But, that's the way they do. That's the way they're living now. In all cities, I've gone to several cities, within the last 5-10 years, and all of them are going up and not out, all the housing. So when you elucidate, and I love exit, says that making things plain and clear. Sometimes we can't always do that when we're thinking of what's making us feel a certain way, or what we've seen, or how do we tell people what it is that we're looking at. So elucidate says to be able to explain it, to clarify it, to demonstrate it. Sometimes we demonstrate things better than what it is that we saw. We're really good at demonstrating. Illuminating, meaning we're going to put a little light on it, let everybody see what we're seeing. Simplify it if we can. Sometimes we can't simplify the things that we are feeling. And they said that's why some people cannot explain many things, because it's difficult for them to say their feelings, to speak on how they're feeling. They may be able to tell you what they are looking at or what they saw, but they cannot explain it for themselves and what it's doing to them inside. Elucidate also says how we can simplify things, interpret what it is that we are looking at. Explicate it, meaning take it apart, expand on it, analyze it. Let's see, clear it up and be the decipher. Sometimes we can't even do that. If something has frightened you, if something has, like, I'm not the one who would have gone to they had a fright house around the corner from me, off of the, I think it's Route 990. They had one, and I stopped by one day, but it was in the daytime, and they had actually tricked their entire house out so that you could go inside and be scared. Well, I don't have to go in there to be scared. I'm scared just looking at all the things they had outside. Outside, they had skeletons that were, one day they're in discussion with their legs crossed, all sitting in a circle around like a simulated fire. The next day, some are hanging off the roof, some are hanging out the trees. They reposition their props every day. So last night when I came home from church, they had an ambulance. There was an ambulance. There was a fire truck. So everybody was into this event, And at first I thought, well, did somebody get hurt? No, no, nobody got hurt. They had really done it up, where they had like people looking like they were coming out the grave. No, thank you. Okay. I would not be able to sleep if I saw things crawling out the ground, and no, just not me. Not me. And I hope you all had a good Halloween. I don't know if you all celebrate and do all of that. I don't. When my daughter was little, she'd give people back all the good candy, and I would be mad. She didn't want any of the candy. None of it. They'd hand it to her, and she'd do their hand like this. No, no, thank you. You keep it. I don't want it. I'd be mad, because some of that candy I wanted. I said, shoot, this is the good house here. Because, they're not giving me them those candies that aren't really candy. It's like Trickette, it's not real candy. So, I said, they have real Snicker bars, and she didn't want any of that. No, she never did. And I think she probably just goes to be dressed up now. She Doesn't do any of that. But listen, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. On Monday, I have a doctor's appointment, so I won't be here Monday, but I will be here Wednesday. And yes, I'm fine. No big deal. Okay, no big deal. It's just my checkup that I have to do. I'm gonna go do a little get a little something checked on, making sure everything's still working fine. But I love you guys. I'll be back on Wednesday. I'll put a notice out there to let everybody know that I won't be here on Monday. But I love you. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Debbie. Let me see. Thank you, Erica. There were some other people in and out. But I love you guys. I appreciate you. Look, hit share. Let the word go out. So they say, let the word go out and go up. That Dr. Winnie's around, just trying to make sure that people can speak to anybody, from a child all the way to the king and a queen, whoever they are, okay? Or maybe the president. You may want to talk to the president. Look, love you guys. Have a good weekend. Be safe. Thank you. Have a good. Bye-bye.